Why am I talking about this? Is it because my video was blocked and copyrighted that made me not want to do this anymore? But also because I have this burning question in my mind that has been stuck for the last 9 years, 9 bloody years. This movie is the one movie where I genuinely enjoyed romantic films. And mind you, I don't watch romantic movies, okay? Am I the type of person to watch romantic movies, okay? Let alone read, I don't read. But this movie has such a huge grip on me that no romantic movies have the same impact as this film, Pride and Prejudice. So I decided, why not investigate while I work on Killer Frequency. By the way, I'm writing this while I was editing Killer Frequency, and I kept holding it. So now I'm recording it and it's after the Killer Frequency. But obviously, I can't ask you guys, and I can't ask some YouTuber like the Closer Look, like, guys, can you help me? Anyway, here's my investigation on why I like Pride and Prejudice. Roll the intro. I forgot to mention that I'll be talking about the Pride and Prejudice 2005 movie and not the series, but I don't know yet because, I'm still writing the script, by the way. So anyway, we are first introduced to Elizabeth, but I'm gonna call her Lizzie throughout the video because that is what they call her in mostly the books and the movie. Anyway, as she entered her house, we see the rest of her sisters. Jane, the eldest and considered the most beautiful. Mary, the third child, who in Wikipedia's word is considered a boring child. Catherine, or Kitty, as she is more known as, she is immature. That's like the only thing that Wikipedia put. And Lydia, the youngest, who is considered immature and flirtatious. Now we learn from Mr. and Mrs. Bennet that Netherfield Park has been sold off to a single and rich man named Charles Bingley. The dude earns around £5,000 per year, which converted to today's money is £500 per year because inflation, After some back and forth, it's revealed that Mr. Bingley will be at William Lucas's ball. The Lucas are the family friends of the Bennet's family. Before I move on, I need to put a disclaimer. I'm not gonna put most of the name of the places because I'm horrible at names. Anyway, let's cut to an introvert's nightmare. We learn from a conversation with Jane and Lizzie, and it was revealed that Lizzie is very proud of the fact that she's able to judge people through their first impression. She's prideful. She said the thing. Also, we had some foreshadowing in Jane's part where she said that, one day Lizzie would fall in love with someone because whatever. Here's the part.
These days, Lizzie, someone will catch your eye, and then you'll have to watch your tongue.
Finally, we get to see Charles Bingley, but he's accompanied by 2 more people. Fitzwilliam Darcy is Bingley's best friend and is much more richer than his own friend. From Charlotte, we learn £1 per year. God damn. And also, we have Caroline Bingley, the sister. She only appears like 1% of the film, so this is not really important right now. Anyway, Mrs. Bennet introduced her daughters to the rich people, and throughout the night, Bingley chooses to dance with Jane, and even Lizzie notices that Bingley is in love with Jane. Lizzie tries to make small talks with Darcy by asking why he is not dancing, but Darcy was not interested in dancing. He basically shut her down. While talking or laughing with Charlotte, Lizzie overheard Darcy and Bingley talking to each other. Bingley admits that he fancies Jane and he suggests Lizzie to Darcy, to which he eloquently says that she is not my type. Obviously, Lizzie is offended by this. Later throughout the night, Lizzie and Darcy finally got a chance to talk, quote unquote, but she suddenly told him that she heard what Darcy said about her and walked away like a girl boss. We need the "This is my fight" song. This is my fight song. Take back my life song. The next day, Jane was invited to dine with Caroline in Netherfield Park. Mrs. Bennet suggested that she should use a horse rather than using a carriage, to which Jane ended up being sick because of it. They got the report that she's indeed sick and had to stay in Netherfield Park. Lizzie decided to go there and stay with Jane until she is better. During her stay, she talked to Darcy and Caroline, and from there, Darcy is still uptight. British is tough. I did not get a single thing of what they were saying, but the gist of it is that Darcy is not a fan of walking. That's important later. And from there, Mrs. Bennet, Kitty, and Lydia visited Netherfield Park with Mary. I think Mary was there. Kitty suggested they should hold a ball in Netherfield, and Bingley agrees with the idea. After embarrassing themselves, they were sent off to go home, and we have this very small cute moment. We then meet Mr. Collins, the cousins to the Bennet sisters. From this, we learn that the Collins will inherit the property after their father's death. After the dinner, Mr. Collins expressed to Mrs. Bennet that he will be required to marry, and he has his eyes set on Jane, but was told that Jane will be engaged soon, to Bingley, and so he was told to instead marry her second daughter, Lizzie, to which he agrees. We then meet Mr. Wickham, who is a lieutenant of the militia. During their walks, they meet Mr. Darcy and Bingley, to which he invited them to the ball in Netherfield Park, and there was some tension between Darcy and Wickham. It was later revealed that Wickham was supposed to inherit a portion of Darcy's inheritance, and that Darcy's father saw Wickham as a son, which caused some jealousy. Wickham wanted to be a clergyman, but Darcy withdrew the inheritance, which caused Wickham to join the military. This made Lizzie really mad, and she hated him, which is like hate. She invited him to be her +1, to which he agrees, as a way to spite Darcy. As the ball begins, Lizzie began looking for Wickham, but we found out that he was forced to be stationed away. In this, Darcy began inviting Lizzie to the dance. This scene was my favorite. Mind you, Darcy was not interested in dancing, so for him to make the first move is huge. During their talk, Lizzie finally confronts Darcy about Wickham, accusing him of making Wickham's life miserable. This obviously angers him, and the conversation was promptly shut down, and we don't see them talking anymore. Later, we see the night was filled with chaos, and we see the Bennets basically embarrassing themselves in front of everybody. And when the next day appears, Caroline questioned Bingley's decision on wanting to marry Jane. Finally, Collins proposed to Lizzie, but I'm gonna skip, and of course, Lizzie rejected Collins. Obviously, Mrs. Bennet was angry, but Mr. Bennet agrees with Lizzie's decision in rejecting Mr. Collins. Unfortunately, we have a brief happiness as we found out that Netherfield Park is being sold off, meaning Bingley is moving away. Rich people cannot relate. Jane got a hold of this news, and Bingley is moving to London, which implies that the possibility of an engagement happening is little to none. Jane was asked to go on a vacation with her aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. Gardiners, to get over her heartbreak. Then we found out that Charlotte is engaged to Collins and to be wed to him, which promptly have Lizzie questioned her decision. But she revealed that she's 27, and the fact that she's able to marry is a huge deal, as people her age are undesirable to rich men who are of dinosaur age. Time jump! Lizzie visits Charlotte in her new house with Collins. While they were talking, Collins announces that Lady Catherine has invited them to her house in Rosing Parks, which costs upwards to £20,000. Lady Catherine's a strict woman. Look, just imagine her as one of those olden ass people, okay? That's like very uptight. More uptight than Darcy. We then meet her daughter Anne, who is sick.
Guess what, bitch? Coronavirus!
And then we meet her nephew, who is...
Mr. Darcy.
Oh! And her other nephew, Colonel Fitzwilliam. Throughout the dinner, Lady Catherine was hammering on Elizabeth by belittling her family status, saying how her family has no governor, shocked that the family is being taught on by the mother, the fact that they only have daughter, blah, 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 blah. Smack that bitch, you know?
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga. Hey, get him up, let him get up.
She then asked Lizzie to play the piano because her daughter is sick and can't play. Bullshit, alright? The daughters won't explode from playing. She won't die. Anyway, Colonel Fitzwilliam talked to Lizzie, wondering how his cousin was during the ball. She stated that Darcy wasn't a very nice person and was always quiet. Darcy chimed in, revealing that he was not a fan of talking to people that he doesn't know. Bro, just say you're introverted. I get it. I understand. While in Charlotte's house, Darcy suddenly burst in looking nervous and suddenly started making awkward small talk before suddenly leaving, which confused both Charlotte and Lizzie. During Mr. Collins' sermon, Colonel was talking to Lizzie and revealed that Darcy is a very loyal friend and that he has saved a friend from an undesirable marriage. This caught Lizzie's attention and asked who it was. It was revealed that it was
his closest friend, Charles Bingley.
The reason for this separation was because the family was considered undesirable. Look, I really don't know how to summarize this scene because it is literally the climax of the scene. So here's my reaction to the scene just to make it easier. Boo, bitch. Boo. And he just pushed her off a cliff. Oh, we don't have subtitles.
I don't understand.
Those what? He fell first, she fell harder. Enemies to lovers trope? Damn.
And I am very sorry to
Is that your reply?
believe me, it was unconsciously done.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
are you mocking?
No.
Are you rejecting me?
I'm sure you have feelings. Just some excuse, but I have other reasons. You know I have.
What reasons?
Really?
Accept the man who has ruined, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister.
That's what I was thinking.
Hopes, and involving them both in misery of the acutest
I
kind.
do not deny it.
Oh, he's honest.
How could
That's
you?
good.
Because I believe your sister is different. I
Indifferent.
watched them most carefully and realized his attachment was deeper than hers.
That's because she's shy.
Bailey too is modest and was persuaded
Well, Darcy, you should know what shy feels like.
My sister hardly shows her true feelings to me.
Ooh. I love this.
Respect of his.
you and your sister, I must say.
Although I'm gonna Google propriety.
Last man in the world
Ooh.
failed upon to marry.
Literally what she says to Collins. That's a reject, bro. I think she's already rejected the moment she said bruh. Alright, translation, bruh. I like the Thunders. The Thunders is a paid actor. Where's the cut? I like this shot. Hold on there. Anyone on the way? What I want. Epic. But if you don't understand, basically he confessed to her and asked for her hand in marriage, and she rejected him and accused him of separating her sister and Bingley. It honestly just sad because she revealed that her sister barely shows her feelings towards Lizzie. We see how this affects Darcy as he promptly just walked away. We see the aftermath as at night Darcy visited her and placed a letter which explained everything that she needs to know. The letter revealed that his father really did love Wickham as a son and that he was given a generous sum of money. However, what Wickham didn't tell her was that he gambled the money away. When he demanded more money from Mr. Darcy refused, which caused their ties to be broken. Wickham then returned, declaring his love for Georgiana, Darcy's sister, and wanting to elope with her. It was revealed that she is to inherit £30,000. When Mr. Darcy intercepts, Wickham left her heartbroken and she was only 15 at the time. This wasn't fully addressed in the movie, so we're going book mode here. As for Jane and Bingley, Darcy admits that he separated them and he justified his action as a concerned friend. He genuinely believed that Jane's feeling for him was not reciprocate, which could lead to a heartbreak. And in fact, Darcy learned that Bingley liked her during the dance and that Bingley actually thought of marrying Jane. He admitted that he did not told him to go to London, but he didn't tell him about Jane being there either. Lizzie's perspective changed after this encounter, and you could say she's slowly falling in love with him. As Lizzie returned home, her uncle and aunt have also visited with Jane now home. Jane revealed that she saw Bingley and she didn't even talk to him as she ignored him. Suddenly, we learn that Lydia has been invited to dine with the soldiers in Brighton. Lizzie tried to convince her father not to let her go as Lydia is too immature and that she will flirt with every soldier she sees. Of course, it did not go through and the plan went on. If only he had listened. Lizzie still has yet to tell anybody about the letter, and she confessed to her sister that she met Mr. Darcy but didn't say anything about Bingley and the letter. Very sad. In a time skip, Lizzie went on a vacation with the Gardiners. While they were resting, the Gardiners decides to visit Pemberley, which Lizzie gave a poor ass excuse to not visit.
I'd rather not. He's so... So what? He's so rich.
Like, bruh. Anyway, it was this beautiful big ass house, and did you know during this museum they just slapped his statue on it and that it became sort of a souvenir? I should really visit that place. Anyway, during the visit, she heard someone playing the piano and saw a girl playing the piano beautifully. Then appeared Darcy, who noticed her and she just ran off. Yeah, way to look not suspicious. They began having this awkward moment, as you do, where they were talking over each other, and it's just so cute. He went to see her aunt and uncle and invited them to dine at Pemberley to meet his sister. We finally see the sister, and she was playing the piano beautifully as before. Honestly, I genuinely thought that Georgiana was gonna hug her. But anyway, the happiness doesn't last as long as you do, as they all receive news that Lydia has actually eloped with Wickham, and they are nowhere to be found. This could ruin the family name and ruin the girl's future in getting married. Darcy set off to find Wickham and Lydia along with Mr. Gardner's. The next day, they receive a letter from Mr. Gardner that he has found them and that Wickham will marry Lydia if they send him £100 per year. However, they are suspicious of Wickham, since something that must have been at play to allow Wickham to accept this small offer. I mean, Lydia isn't favorable, according to the father.
No man in his senses would marry Lydia under so slight a temptation as 100 a year.
Finally, Wickham and Lydia visit the Bennets after being wed, and during Lydia's bragging, she revealed that Darcy had actually found them and paid for the wedding and commission and everything. Honestly, I feel bad for Lydia as she will have an unhappy marriage, or it depends if Wickham actually starts to love Lydia, but I digress. While walking through the market, a man informed them that Netherfield has been bought by Bingley once again. They act all indifferent until all of a sudden Darcy and Bingley arrived at the Bennet's house. This caused chaos, and Lizzie's feeling for Darcy has become full-blown love. But as usual, it was awkward, and suddenly they left as fast as they came. We see a scene where Bingley attempts to practice his proposal with Darcy while Lizzie attempts to comfort Jane. Then out of nowhere, Bingley appears and requests to see Jane alone. I'll skip to the chaos. He proposed. She said yes. Finally. During the night, while Jane and Lizzie were talking about marriage, Lady Catherine visited and requested to speak with Lizzie. She found about Darcy's infatuation for Lizzie and that Lizzie may also have feelings for the young gentleman. Catherine began revealing that Darcy is to marry Anne, her daughter, and that their marriage was arranged since birth. She made Lizzie promise that she will never ever talk to Darcy, and that if Darcy were to propose to her, she should reject it. This angers Lizzie and told off Catherine and promptly ran off, leaving Catherine in the house with the family. As she was taking a walk, we saw Mr. Darcy walking towards her, and I can't wait to talk about this because it is so fucking important. But essentially, he finally gave her an even better proposal, and she finally actually said yes. Oh my god. We see extra moments when Darcy talks to the father, and then Lizzie reveals that it was Darcy who helped Lydia, and that it was also Darcy who helped brought Bingley and Jane together. The mother and Jane both talked about how she hated him, and that Lizzie's judgment may have been wrong for the first time, and it will not be the last time. The father approved of their marriage after seeing how happy Lizzie is. There is an ending scene. I heard that it's deleted, but it's essentially the aftermath of their marriage, where they're just chilling, overlooking the landscape of Pemberley. It's fucking cute. You should watch it. Oh my god. Alright, I've decided to include Prime Prejudice 1995 BBC series because it is the best and the most accurate to the book, literally. So anyway, let's talk about romance trope. It's important to this video, I promise. In most romantic films, the concepts are very simple. A meets B, how they interact determines how the story goes. Usually in the usual couple trope, strangers will either be friends, childhood friends, and they realize they love each other. Bing, bang, bada, boom. Right? Other times they will have a love at first sight, and then we see A try to make B fall in love with them, and it's a very cute movie. Another really famous trope is enemies to lovers, in which A and B are enemies and somehow they grow to like each other and fall in love. Enemies to lovers are my favorite romantic trope. However, in some cases, they tend to be very toxic. The dude will be the most toxic person you could see with big flags colored red waving above them, and for some reason the girl would be I can fix him. This type of films just turns me away, as it's really hard to care when your main guy is an asshole and has no redeemable qualities until you see him have a pet dog or is nice to only the girl. Maybe there are good enemies to lovers trope that just doesn't go in my radar, but the ones I've seen are just horrible. I know there are great romantic films. One that I've seen are actually very tragic. The most famous romantic trope that we have, the star-crossed lover. Everybody love it and everybody hate it. Such films such as Titanic, a classic, Romeo and Juliet, very classic, A Fault in Our Stars. I haven't read the book, I'm sorry. And I can see why these types of films are famous, because death, when you include death in a romantic film, it's in a sense quite romantic. I don't know, it's just me, don't sue me, right? All of these films are considered a classic in those tragic love stories. Nowadays, the romantic genres are starting to fall behind in making it big, as not many people seem to be interested in romantic films. Case in point, the very same person who is making this video. And besides, most romantic films are way too generic, or the effort is just lost in the making of it, and it's not even seen as profitable by many big major studios. Like, it's rare to even see a romantic film becoming this blockbuster. I mean, Titanic was only one of them, and that was just Titanic. Unfortunately, people even deem the women in romantic films as weak and unfeminist. Look at Rachel Ziegler interview talking about Snow White.
That it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
This is not in the script, but I just had to butt in a little bit. Like, what about Once Upon a Time Snow White? She became a leader and she got the true love. Why can't women have both? Why does she need to be a leader? It's sad to see that romantic films are just these movies you watch and then you forget when they can hold up as much potential as any other films with actions and massive CGI. Romantic films have shown itself to be capable when you see that once in a blue moon, amazingly written romantic films with beautifully written characters pop out of nowhere and become a massive hit, like Titanic. Which is why I am talking about Pride and Prejudice. There are other films that hold itself even better, but Pride and Prejudice was my romantic film. But I'm not here to talk about romantic movies, although I will talk about that in my next video. I don't know, this script is actually killing me, so I better finish this video first.
Going to accident? No, shouting at me no good, man.
Since I was talking to enemies to lovers, I might as well just talk about it as a separate thing. So, in my opinion, enemies to lovers are literally the best trope compared to any other tropes. You know, fuck your childhood crush, love, or whatever. Opposites attracts are where it at, you know? You know, do you imagine you hate each other and then you like each other? It's just awesome, man. It's so romantic. This trope is very popular. The biggest example is the shipping between Wednesday and Enif. Okay, this is just an example. Everybody chill, alright? It doesn't matter what my opinion on this thing is. It's just what the fans think. Anyway, Wednesday is not even a love story, and yet the opposite attract is considered more favorable for fans, viewers, than Xavier, who literally has the same interest as Wednesday. Think about it. Two people, complete opposite of each other, they start off hating each other, and somehow they work through their prejudices, oh my god, I just said the thing, and differences, and fall in love. Then they live happily ever after. Pride and Prejudice is the epitome of it. It's literally the main part of the story. Now yes, there are movies that are similar, however, for some reason, movies with that concept usually have the male or female lead being toxic. Look at 365 Days, which by the way, as cool as a bad boy,
Are you lost, baby girl?
what in the world is this? The dude is a literal criminal and kidnapped the female lead, I forgot her name, stating that he will make her fall in love with him in 365 days. It's in the name. Great. Another stupid film is called No Sleep Till Christmas. Now I get it, it's a Christmas movie, but why are the scripts so bad? The Christmas film in the past were great. What is it? There's no excuse, alright? The story goes, the woman and a guy can't sleep. The woman was too stressed out because she was planning the wedding, which made her unable to sleep, and the dude, I forgot what happened to him. Anyway, by Christmas miracle, they crashed into each other and was able to sleep. They found that out and decided to sleep together, which led to them falling in love. cue all the sleep together jokes that they make in that stupid movie.
And even if it works now, what happens after you're married? Are you just gonna keep sleeping with this other guy?
Hey, yo, what?
This would have been a cute story if the guy wasn't an arrogant asshole, which with barely any redeemable qualities, and the girl was, I don't know, she's not engaged. By the way, she left her fiance at the altar to be with the guy. I have so much to talk about that. But you may argue, oh, but Mr. Darcy's an arrogant asshole. Actually, there's a difference. Darcy's a shy, arrogant man. But never once did he belittle Lizzie. And even if he did, he proved himself by doing the right thing, quote unquote, the right thing for her. And here's another thing. She's not engaged to other people. Just a food for thought. And the things that he did was, like Connor said, it is to protect a friend. Darcy turns out to be a nice person and a very loyal person. Darcy was willing to offer some money to have Wickham marry Lydia so the family is not going to be ruined. He didn't have to, because it's not like she couldn't get married because he wants to marry her. And if he was sinister, he would not have helped in order to ruin Lizzie's chance of getting married to other people so that she could only marry him. K-dramas would eat this shit up. Trust me. And then there will be some random cute music as he plots to marry Elizabeth. And again, I have a lot to talk about Mr. Darcy. The 2005 movie does not leave out certain things, but that's to be expected. You know, budget, runtime of the past, whatever. In the series, it follows closely the book and we see more interactions between Darcy and Elizabeth. Same thing, blah 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 blah. But you can see Bennett dislike Darcy for not wanting to dance, but also for insulting Lizzie. Insulting is a strong word, but basically he just commented that she's not pretty and she's not his type, you know? But funny enough, similar to the movies, they do show Darcy's face and we see Darcy is enamored by Lizzie's beauty, and in fact you see it more in the BBC series. My guy even said it himself during the party to Caroline, who, mind you, wanted to marry Darcy, and he even offered to dance with Lizzie during the party at Lucas's lodge, but was ultimately rejected by Lizzie herself. But if you watch the series, you could see how he wants to not just dance with her but also talk to her, but the dude is too shy and too proud to do it. I mean, he literally insulted her and basically he has to admit to himself that he finds her beautiful, and openly admits to other people that he finds her beautiful. He likes her eyes. That's apparently his favorite features because it shows her intelligence.
No, indeed, my mind was more agreeably engaged. I've been meditating on the very great pleasure which a pair of fine eyes in the face of a pretty woman can bestow.
Very, okay. Now, he's not an asshole. He seems arrogant, but he is just shy, quiet, and proud, with no interest in entertaining other people who are not his friends. Bingley likes Darcy, but it just feels like an extrovert adopting an introvert kind of scenario there. Okay, I finally got the name of the two couple. It's Lizzie and Billy. It's worse because Lizzie is engaged. The guy she's engaged to is the most nicest person that you could think of, and he was so supportive of them. And not only that, he is very much rich. He's a doctor. She can't sleep because of stress, and to solve that, it is to cheat. I mean, technically at first she wasn't cheating, but you know, until you found out that she never told her fiance until the very end of the film. And at the final end of the film, she left him at the altar for Billy, as Billy is running to her, essentially to, I don't know, change her mind or something because he fell in love with it. And at the time, he was dating somebody. He got back with his ex, and I guess he broke up with her because he liked Lizzie. Oh my god, this film. That's like if Elizabeth is engaged to Darcy, then befriended Wickham and ended up falling in love with him and eloping with him. Yeah, great. In fact, I think I'm not the only one to say this, but I really wanted Billy and Lizzie to be unhappy. Oh my god, my favorite tropes are literally just a way to justify assholes. Can I just say this scene for some reason makes me laugh? Dude was literally just walking, then out of nowhere some lady just appeared from the bush. I can tell you that this walk may be short, but he probably enjoyed that walk. Again, he admitted that out loud towards the others.
I'm afraid, Mr. Darcy, that this escapade may have affected your admiration for her fine eyes.
Not at all. They were brightened by the exercise.
Bombastic sight.
There's just something alluring watching period films. For me, I love the medieval.
Dodge this, you bastard!
and Victorian settings. Or regional. Anyway, there's just something beautiful watching how civilizations were teetering between being savage and civilized.
I'm enraged! I'm Jesus! I'm descendant of God!
Especially during the Victorian era, where Britain is in their industrial era. Or was that regional? I don't know. But the point is, you know, they're in the industrial era while simultaneously colonizing other countries. I mean, why do you think Bridgerton, Queen Charlotte Bridgerton story and The Great is so popular? Now, from my single Google research, it seems that people are in love with the aesthetic of the past that brings, and not the hardship. I mean, real though, who wants hardship? Disgusting. There. Fuck you, poor people. Okay, Michelle, cut that out, please. The same reason why people love K-drama. You can't show them the hardships of Korean life and how people want to kill themselves.
Death by overwork is so common, there's a word for it. Kwarosa.
But people love the aesthetic and the idea of the different culture, the Korean culture. Especially when it depicts the old money lifestyle. Look at TikTok as an example. You can see one of the famous fashion trends was the old money aesthetic. The idea that someone is just born into a rich family, that they have never known hardship for their entire life and for their whole entire generation. That these people are just so rich that they don't even know that they're rich. In K-drama, they love the idea that a rich person would fall in love with an average person. The idea that you, a middle class or lower class, could mingle and fall in love and marry the upper class. The elites of society. Like, imagine you marry Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or all the other billionaires listed right now. It's one of the famous love trope, so famous that it never gets old. We see this depiction in modern settings such as Crazy Rich Asians, which is a very popular romance film. It's been a while since that happened. Now add that trope and put it in a periodical settings, where the rich falls for a commoner. This applies in Pride and Prejudice, where a rich man falls for the middle class. In this film, it focused highly on the Victorian era, or regional era. It's like in the 1800s. Please don't kill me.
Hey, Sultan! Hey!
An era with rich men earning £10,000 per year for doing absolutely nothing. All he does is write letters and marry into more rich families. The only way for these poor people to enter into this luxurious lifestyle is through connections and dance parties. But the chances of them being married into one is quite low because your family reputation depends on it. Anyway, I think people just like the idea of a very posh culture that this type of story brings. Many like to compare it with modern ethics to the past ethics, often saying that the past is better and that we should bring some of them back. Like in Pride and Prejudice, they would always bow to each other as a respectful greeting to each other, similar to like the Korean culture. Especially the men are expected to act like gentlemen, while the women are to act like ladies. Speaking of which, women are the highest consumer for this type of genre. I mean, obviously it's a romance film. I'm one of those people. I enjoy this periodic genre just for the aesthetic. I think the past life is just so interesting, whether it be good and the bad. Like the film called The King in Netflix. It's a pretty shitty film. Not shitty as in it's bad, but it's a very, sad, depressing, very rugged, hardship. Barely, there's no romance. Nothing. Nada. Dead. Right? And I love it. I just love it. It's amazing how much have changed in just 200 years. With a lack of cameras and only drawings to show us their lifestyle, we can only bring ourselves in their shoes and imagine. Only imagine being rich and falling with a rich person, not poor. Imagine being poor. Cannot relate. Okay, Michelle, please cut that out, please.
No.
Do I really need to say any more? Ow, 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 ow. Okay, please cut this part. I think I'll focus on two characters, which will be Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, or else I'll actually die. I'll try to make this quick, hopefully, and also I had to rewrite the script for this section. Yes, I did die for a second. Anyway.
This is a charming house.
Mr. Darcy is the perfect love interest in our hate-to-love story. When we first meet him, we are introduced to this proud man. The first impression we get of him was him belittling Elizabeth.
But her sister Elizabeth is very agreeable.
Perfectly tolerable, I dare say. Not handsome enough to tempt me.
He has no interest in anyone who wants to know him. He just, in all general, seems proud.
Mr. Darcy, I'm glad to hear it. Yes. What is your name, sir?
My name is William Collins, Mr. Darcy, and I have the very great honor.
In Malay, we call that sombong, which means proud. A little language lesson there, everybody. But slowly our perception of him changed to differ as we start to know more of him. We then slowly start to root for him. He mentioned he has no interest in dancing, and yet he asked Elizabeth to dance with him, only to be rejected the first time. He not only got to dance with her another time at Netherfield Park, it's really foreshadowing now that I look into it. He got rejected the first time when asking her to dance, similar to how his first proposal was rejected. It's always the second time that Elizabeth accepted to dance with him, and also ultimately accept his second proposal. Anyway, first impression, not good. But again, the more we learn about him and see him, the more we want him and Elizabeth to be together. And it's cool to see the gentle side of him in the book and seeing the depiction in the film and show. I mean, I imagine him to be a brooding man, which they delivered perfectly. But why do I say he's the perfect love interest? And I'm saying this with my neck sticked out, okay? Metaphorically.
28 in Golito tabs.
He's the only character I know so far that actually did what he did because he loves someone. During his first proposal, he was willing to drop his prejudices to marry her. I mean, it was probably the reason why he failed in his first proposal. He hasn't proved himself to be the man that she should love. All he talks about in his proposal was his birth rank, insulted her family, broke the potential marriage between her sister and Bingley, and and also the Wickham situation, but she didn't know that first. But still, not a good look. Honestly, compared to the 1995 proposal, the movie actually did a really good job in this aspect. I might be biased, but stick it with a grain of salt. The intensity of the proposal and seeing Mr. Darcy losing his composure as he struggles to understand why Lizzie would deny his marriage proposal. Mind you, Darcy probably has a lot of offer of marriage in his lifetime. Being not only young but rich and single is an advantage for him. One of the biggest examples is Miss Caroline Bingley. In the book in 1995, Caroline wanted to marry Mr. Darcy, and by doing so, she would try to shape her opinion to match with his in order to gain his attention. I forgot to mention one part, but during the walking scene between her and Miss Elizabeth, it was apparently her way of trying to attract his attention, and by walking with Miss Elizabeth, it would allow for him to notice her. But ultimately, in the end, he ended up only having his attention shift only to Elizabeth rather than Bingley, which is why she suddenly suggests to have music being played. Yeah, bitch, get the fuck out. You lost. L. Take the L. But all it does is just annoy him. I mean, during the Pemberley scene, the Bingleys were there, and we know that Caroline wants Mr. Bingley to marry Georgiana to strengthen their wealth. When Elizabeth came along, she not only challenged him, but laughed at him after he insulted her. She Michael Jacksoned him, okay? After the rejection, he had about 1 year to change himself. When he saw Elizabeth again, he was much gentler and nicer. Bro even invited her uncle and aunt to Pemberley. This have turned Elizabeth's judgment on him. It can be said that he showed chivalry to the inferior people by showing respect to her aunt and uncle. This scene is cute because you can see how much he cares about her opinion on Pemberley, which is crazy because this is the same guy that doesn't care for anyone's opinions but his own.
No, you were not leaving.
We were, sir. I think we must.
She just got...
I hope you're not displeased with Pemberley.
No, not at all.
Then you approve of it.
Oh my god. Can you imagine? It's like she doesn't approve, he'll just destroy the house.
But your
make
good
a new
opinion
one.
is rarely bestowed and therefore more worth the earning.
Bitch, you know exactly what to say. And now he wants her approval. Bitch, please. He's such an amazing character. You can't help but fall in love with him. Seeing him go from this guy to this guy. He was willing to do anything for Elizabeth because he just loves her. One major example is of course helping Lydia Bennet. Lydia eloped with Wickham, which became a huge thing for the Bennet family. As you know, elopement is heavily frowned upon. An elopement in the family will ruin the family's reputation and when the girls turn to marry. I already explained this part. Essentially destroys the family's future. When Darcy learned about the situation, he obviously felt sorry and in the end helped the family. Mind you, again, this is the same guy that looked down on this very same family. He was willing to help and even then he didn't even tell anyone because he doesn't want Elizabeth to feel like she owed him. He did it because he just loves her. I don't know how to explain it, it's just so damn good. Him changing as a person made Elizabeth fall in love with him and his second proposal was finally accepted by her. Again, I must say the movie did a better job at showing the tension, I'm just saying. He changed because he wanted to be someone that Elizabeth will fall in love with. And that's character arc, baby. That's character arc. Wah wah wah. Wah wah wah. Okay.
Made me realize that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
You have to understand that she's not a perfect character. I'm talking about Elizabeth, by the way. I like how she's just human. She really is someone you can look up to along with Mr. Darcy. She has a complex trait which makes her so much like a real person. You can really relate to her as a character. Her strength limits her as a person and that is, you know, her flaw, but also ended up being her strength. I don't know. I'm bad at this. But the point is, one trait of her that you will see often is her individuality, which is her strength and also her weakness. Unlike her sisters, she knows what she wants and what her partner should be. That is to be admired. Self-aware queen, you know? This would obviously give her a sense of confidence in judging people. Now, it's great that she is confident in her prejudice, however, it limits her character. She lacks some understanding for the reasons why people do what they do due to her individuality. For example, with Charlotte, she doesn't get why Charlotte would choose someone like Mr. Collins. She questions her choice, not because she's jealous, but because she genuinely believes that Charlotte deserves better. And I agree too. But only after seeing Charlotte happy with what she has did she finally understand. And she's also protective and kind towards her sister. She's the type of person to defend her family even though you are done with them. We see this multiple times. She's especially protective towards Lydia after learning about the elopement because she knows of Wickham's true colors. She didn't care about the reputation, she just wants her to be safe. This includes when Jane's character was misunderstood by Darcy, when Lady Catherine questions her family, and I know she wanted to slap her, but nevertheless, she defends her family. Look, she's the type of person to say that only I can insult my family and no one else. And I agree with this. Being confident in yourself will give rise to your own confidence in judging other people's character. In beginning, we know this because not only did Jane point it out, but her parents also believe in her judgment of character.
Oh, I still can't believe what he said about you.
Mr. Darcy. I can more easily forgive his vanity had he not wounded mine.
Mr. What's-his-name, a pompous one from before. Mr. Darcy? The very insolence of it. What does he think of coming here?
I know him to be a proud, unpleasant sort of fellow.
This led to her judging Mr. Darcy's character poorly due to his rudeness. Now I can understand why, because he did not give a good impression for her to begin with. But it can be detrimental when making the right judgment on someone, especially a judgment towards Wickham. How many judgments is that? Jesus. She assumes that he was a good man because he had good manners and was being quote-unquote honest, which is why she believed his story without checking whether the story is true or not. She immediately accused Mr. Darcy of ruining his life, and to add fuel to the fire after learning that he was the reason for Mr. Bingley and Jane's separation. This led to a huge blowout between the two during the proposal. The proposal was doomed to fail anyway, and also Mr. Darcy did not make a good proposal either. Like, bruh. She only realized that she misjudged his character after learning of the true Mr. Wickham's character. Before the proposal, she also learned that Mr. Darcy appearing rude due to his awkwardness and shy nature. I just love how they didn't make her the perfect character, and she also learned that she's not a perfect person and that she makes mistakes too. She's also a kind person, and even though she also tends to challenge social norms, she still tries to have good manners and being a proper lady. We can see this during her rejecting Mr. Collins' proposal. She tries to be cordial, and I wish she had blown up like the one in the film, but I think the show did it perfectly. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just how I picture her rejection to be. The only time I see her quote-unquote angry is during Mr. Darcy's first proposal. And again, the film did a good job on that. I mean, can you blame her for being angry though? You really have to watch it rather than seeing my analysis, because it's such a good climax between the two characters. It's where their pride and prejudice... I just said the thing. Give me a word.
Yeah, I think that's called delusional.
Okay, anyway, it's where their pride and prejudice gets challenged. This is the moment where they would get their character arc. Elizabeth challenging Mr. Darcy and him doing the same, with their views unviewed, you know? The letter being the catalyst, and when she reunites with him again, it's just... it's worth it, I'm telling you. You genuinely see her views of him change, and she starts to gradually fall in love with him. I can see why Mr. Darcy would love her, and would still love her. And I would do the same thing. I also love her, okay? He especially fell in love with her intelligence. She loves to read books, and you can see...
I've already told her once my desire.
I do that a lot. It shows her willingness to learn and having the passion of learning. Her intelligence and wits are what allow her to tease and banter with Mr. Darcy. He loves that about her, and I love that about her. Okay? She's not pompous like Catherine and a know-it-all like Mary is. She balances it. And it seems that her intelligence allows her to willing to set her pride aside and understand Mr. Darcy's action and, you know, just get a new perception of him. In the end, she fell in love and ended up marrying Mr. Darcy. Although she was proven wrong, her confidence never faltered. She became more empathetic to others. She learned not to judge others too quickly, and she still maintained her individuality. She's what a main character should be. They are confident and intelligent, but they have flaws coming from their traits. By overcoming that flaw, she can grow and reach her potential as the main character. She's a strong person. She is a perfect role model for anyone. She's a girl boss in her own way. She has to face her flaws, which are her vanity or her pride, I guess, in order to become Elizabeth Bennet. Although I didn't fully analyze her character, I really do think she's well written, and I cannot express that enough. I love how she is the so-called outsider in the social norm, I guess, because she likes to fight it. She likes to challenge the social norms, for example with Lady Catherine. And the reason why I think that Wickham did not pursue her is because Elizabeth isn't a sexual deviant like Lydia is. You know, someone who is easily manipulated and just so over her head about love and soldiers and stuff. I don't have the script. Okay, I have the script.
It's that I find it hard to forgive the follies and vices of others, or their offences against me. My good opinion, once lost, is lost forever.
I don't have a good subheading for this one, but I can say that this is such a great story. Both characters grew and learned to be better for each other. But you must be curious about their endings. If not, too bad, I'm gonna tell you anyway. Elizabeth and Darcy are living in such a happy marriage. I wouldn't be surprised considering they would have this playful banter to keep their marriage alive. Jane and Bingley would stay in Netherfield for a while and ultimately move. As for Lydia and Wickham, they would have a very unhappy marriage. This one you have to read the book because it's actually sad. Since Elizabeth is married to quite the richest guy, Wickham wants to take full advantage of that. We're not sure if Lydia was the one that wrote the letter or Wickham asked her to, but she does ask Elizabeth for money, preferably like 300 to 400 pounds. And she was like, "Don't tell Mr. Darcy." Elizabeth, you know, being the sister and kind sister that she is, helped out Lydia by sending money for them. and it stated that Jane even sent money to Lydia to help out. Very sad. Yeah, and this subheading is very short. This section is very short. Wait, I have ulcer, guy. I have ulcer.
Hi.
No one cares!
Holy shit. It took me 6 months to complete this because I kept delaying it and because of school. But during this 2 weeks, I have managed to finish the whole thing. I'm so happy. Thank you so much, me. Anyway, I implore you guys to watch this movie. If you like reading books, you have to read the book. I think like if you're like in an English class or something, you read this. But if you don't like books, the movie and the show, it's just beautiful, especially the movie. But if you want a more book accuracy, I would say the show is better. Anyway, that's all. Now I can finally do either gaming videos or I'll just make another essay videos and then delay it for another 6 months. Yeah, peace out, stay safe.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, I just like the motion when I'm sitting in my car, driving past the speed limit, moving forward with the stars. I can see the headlights off from another car, but it never fazed me or crossed me when I'm moving. All of my problems I live inside my luggage.